Yo, good day, and welcome to another episode of the RoadFS Podcast. As you can see, I am all alone. I'm solo. Rod is out for the week. Well, kind of. He's been working on and off, and it's hard to let it go sometimes when you're a business owner. But yeah, he's up, I think, in the mountains enjoying the cool, crisp, beautiful air of Cascade, Idaho. So hope he's having a good time, but I get to have some fun today. I've rounded a good friend of mine, Joe Kimball. And dude, I am so excited to have you on board. Joe Kimball is the owner, operator, the father, the dad of Kimball's Hands-On Detailing. And yo, good morning to you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Dude, yeah, there we go. There's your audio again, cutting in. As he was coming on board, it was like sometimes coming in, sometimes coming out. So let's try that again. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good. How are you this morning?
There he is. Yeah, it like comes and goes. So, dude, I've been having a lot of fun watching you, your family. You guys have had a big adventure this year, building a new and improved shop for Kimball's Hands-On Detailing. How's that adventure been?
It's probably the most stressful adventure I've had to date.
To
Yeah.
date.
To date,
So I think a lot of guys, in fact, yesterday I was talking to one of our customers, and one of his big dreams is to have a shop. And I'm like, dude, you can get it. I know you're going to get it. You're manifesting, you're working hard for it. So what has brought you to this point of making this big leap of going into a shop and taking that next evolution in your business?
Well, so, we, as most people know, we started out of our garage, went mobile, and then mobile and at our garage, our garage at our own house. Came to the point where our home is our sanctuary. It's our place where I felt like we really needed to expand, and then we found the location we're in right now, which is a little 2-bay with 3 carports outside, 1,800 square foot shop. We've grown so much that this 1,800 square foot shop just is not cutting it anymore. We've maxed out on what we can, the jobs we can bring in, how long they can stay here. I'm very adamant. I don't like finishing jobs and sending them, paint protection film, vinyl wrap jobs. I don't want to send those right away. I want to be able to keep them a couple days, make sure everything's good. And so we've been looking for the last 3.5 years for a bigger location. But we want, it had to be right. It had to, just had to make sense. And lo and behold, this 7,000 square foot shop, brand new construction comes up, and it's as a crow flies, a quarter mile from our current location. But we jumped on that right away. It was like, this is perfect. So, it was the need for more space.
There's an element in there that I really like. It's that you had been looking for 3 years. I think a lot of times we as business owners, we have these goals and they always seem like they're just on the horizon, just like not within our reach. And we're like, gosh, we've been waiting a year, we've been waiting 2 years. And we start to get a little discouraged, or we start to second guess, is that really right for us? Do we really need this? So how did you wrestle with that 3-year gap of going, man, we really want this. We want to get away from our home. So how did you wrestle that?
Man, that's a tough one. It was just one of those, again, like I said, it was the need, but we didn't want to just jump into whatever building was out there, which, to be quite honest, in our area, It was either you could get a 2,500 square foot shop or smaller, or a 12,000 square foot shop or bigger. And 12,000, oh boy, that would have been amazing, but that's just way more than we need. And the 2,500 square foot shop, that's 1,000 square feet more than what we have here. It just didn't make sense. But also, along with that, there's a lot of things that I think a lot of the younger people, not even the younger people, I think people that want to get into their own brick and mortar, they don't think about is, is this location approved through code enforcement, through the cities, through what, the counties? Can we run a detail shop there? I see a lot. I see a lot of guys that, oh, I found this small warehouse. It's $1,500 a month. They jump on it, they get in there, and then they find out they can't have a detail shop, because of water runoff or whatnot. So we wanted to make sure it was perfect all the way around. One, it had to financially make sense. Two, it had to house everything that we needed to be able to do in that location. So it was, there was probably a lot of buildings that we could have jumped into, but they just didn't make sense.
Yeah. I think a lot of times we rush to get to a goal that we end up getting ourselves into a corner. Like there's an office space just kitty corner to where Rod and our office is, and we would love to buy that. And I haven't been able to convince the owner to buy that. And so we soft look, right? And I'm just kind of the mindset, when the opportunity is right, it will present itself and we'll be able to take care of it. So we're not trying to force something, and it would be really easy to do. And then I think we would be cornered and feel trapped. And I think one of the things that I've learned is that sometimes, as hard as it is to say and do and implement, to be patient. It's like, good grief, when's this going to happen?
Patience is not a virtue that I have. It's really hard, but I'm learning in my old age.
Yeah. So what have been some of the obstacles that, because you kind of alluded to that, it's been a kind of a challenging journey. I think a lot of times detailers think, oh, I'll just sign the papers, I'll move in, and I'm off to the races. What have been some of the obstacles you guys have encountered as you've moved into this new place or prepared to move into this new space?
The biggest thing is just the construction. So this building was built 2 years ago. Um, it was initially built to house 4 businesses, but the parking there is not. It doesn't have enough parking for 4 businesses. So it's sat empty for, like I said, for the last 2.5 years, and unfinished. They wanted to wait to see who was going to move in there to build the bathrooms and, whatnot. So we met with the owner of the building. We went over everything, put out, what we'd like to get, what we'd like him to do before we move in. And then we had to present to him our tenant improvements, what we're going to do. And so from that point, it was construction. It was, getting the 2 bathrooms built, which that was quite a bit, being a commercial space, ADA. They had, they're a lot bigger than I anticipated, but they had to get those done. And then the city came out and said, hey, your sprinklers, you don't have enough sprinkler heads. We got to add more sprinkler heads. You don't have enough fire alarms, which that's one we're battling right now because they made them put in 15 fire alarms in this building, and most of them are like 4 feet apart from each other. So it's what makes that hard is, having so many, any bit of dust that floats in the air, any steam, which, we use a lot of steam, gets up there, it's automatically setting that fire alarm off. So, battling with the city to try and remove some of the fire alarms, smoke detectors. And then one of the biggest ones was, we were anticipating to have to put out about $300,000 to $500,000 to put in the oil water separators, sludge tanks, all that. And so we were, unbeknownst to us, but we were going through all this, meeting with engineers, everything to try and get that part built, which we knew that was going to take some time. The bonus to that is we actually found out later on down the line when the owner comes in, he goes, I got this paper I really need you guys to look at. So we sat down. When he built the building, he actually had a 40,000 gallon water oil separator sludge tank put in there.
Wow.
So we didn't even, that right there was like, whew,
Whew.
It brought the stress level down, because the last thing we want to do is get turned in for doing things wrong or get shut down for not doing things right. But, we dealt with that. And then once the owner of the building got done with his part of the construction, now it's our part. And then because of the size of the bathrooms and things that they had to put in, like the city made us put drinking fountains in, which I didn't even think drinking fountains existed anymore after COVID and whatnot. But they made us put drinking fountains in, which took out a lot of, that even took out more floor space of where we were going to put like our service counter and whatnot. So now it's just on to our planning, figuring out everything, which if you were at the shop now, you'd see our floor has got tape lines everywhere of where the walls are going, doors are going. Luckily this morning, actually not long before we got on here, I was talking with my contractor and they're luckily starting next week to get that done. So we're hoping by the end of the month, we'll start moving in.
Wow. So
there's a lot to it.
No, there is a lot to it. And I think a lot of times we don't really know until we get into the middle of it, right? Into the swamp of a new adventure. We have these ideas of what it's going to look like. And then we open the door and we start trudging through it. And all of a sudden we're walking through a morass of challenges and obstacles. So one of the things that I've noticed a lot is that lately you've been talking a lot about just taking care of yourself and dealing with the stress and mental health. So how have you balanced the swamp of moving in and constructing and all this stuff and kept your sanity through it all?
I haven't.
You haven't?
I haven't. I have my grumpy days where I get, I feel bad for my family, but I get kind of grumpy sometimes because it's like the famous line, 2 steps or 3 steps forward, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It kind of seems what keeps happening. And so I get kind of grumpy, but on the same token, my family, they've helped keep us, we all help keep each other stay centered, stay calm. So that's been the biggest, but also having the people in your life that you can call and talk to. You and I talk a lot. Grant Menard, he's always been there. Like, he's done the construction side of a big detail shop. So yeah. I reach out to him a lot. I reach out to people that can help.
Yeah. Well, Mike Carlin, why did Joe's beard look better than Santa's?
Beard oil.
No, that's, yeah, and it is a sweet beard. It's funny. I love it. So I want to. It's almost become your trademark.
I wanted to shave it off, but I'm sure we do Donut Fridays during the school year with the special needs kids from all the schools around here. They come to our shop, have donuts, get to hang out, see the cool cars and stuff. But I was out talking about 2 months ago, and I said, man, I'm ready to shave this off. And about 4 of them, like, literally broke out in tears. They were crying. They're like, Santa cannot shave his beard. No. So I got letters from a few of the kids, like, asking me not to shave my beard. So it's, yeah. Even though I wake up in the morning with a mouthful of hair, it's like, okay,
Well, maybe you just trim half of it or something. or maybe you braid it, put little beads in it and you look like a pirate.
Get the eye patch.
So As we wrestle with these challenges, I think one of the things that I see a lot of men, and I did this post. It was from a picture I saw, and you alluded to it in that in the picture. There's two scenarios where the man is looking in the mirror and he's shouting at himself, and then there's below it is a man shouting at his kids and his wife. And I think a lot of us, when we get under the stress of business and life, because let's be honest, sometimes life can throw you some really big curves. And we tend to sadly take it on out on those that we love. So, and what I've had to, over the years, I've had to learn. It hasn't been natural for me. I've had to learn how to go, you know what? This is a moment, and I can't take this moment and lash out at my kids who need my love and support. And so, as you're learning how to navigate and hold this, because I think a lot of times, and here's the danger of it, is we as men sometimes put all of it on our shoulders, in our heart, in our minds, and we do a really good time for a season to keep it in check, and then something happens and we lash out instead of what you've been talking about over the last couple of weeks of making sure that you give yourself some time to put yourself in a good place. Like me, every day, my wife and I, we go work out, right? In the summer, my escape is going out on the boat with the kids and driving them wake surfing. So how have you learned to keep yourself in check, but also give yourself an outlet so that you can rejuvenate and reinvigorate your soul so that you can move forward in a positive direction, not only in business, but also in your family?
So that's just like it's a work in progress. It's something that it's not easy, and you did nail it. As men, and even the strongest of women that I've met out there, we carry, like you said, we carry it on our shoulders. We hold it. We bottle things up. We don't want to let it out. We want to be that. We want to be that tough person. Nothing bugs us. And then, of course, like you said, boom, it comes. We lash out. We release it, let it go, and we do it with the wrong people. For me, I've learned that um, who's there that you can talk to, who's there. So a lot of times during the day, if something, I start getting frustrated, my I get a text message that this part of construction's put off, or this client decided to cancel their appointment or whatever, right 5 minutes before, whatever it may be. I've learned that I can go in the office, and sometimes it drives my wife nuts, but I'm just like, I'll walk in, I kind of look at her, and she'll be sitting there on the computer typing out, or whatnot, and all of a sudden she'll see me, and I'll get that that huff, and she'll look at me and she's like, all right, what's going on? And we talk through it. We talk it out. We talk a lot, on the way home, whether it's Cody and I driving together, Sherry and I driving together, Allie and I driving together, or all of us together in one vehicle. We talk things out. We start to talk and just, get it out in the open instead of bottling it up. And, our family, your families, they're your foundation. They're the ones that are there for you. They're the ones that listen the most. So
Yeah.
that's been the biggest thing. It's just learning to talk about things and not bottling it up and holding it in.
Yeah. So talking about family, you are a very active, a very involved, very present dad. In every aspect, outside looking in, you are a champion of your son, who is autistic. That is very passionate cause for you, and you're also a fanatic when it comes to softball. So let's talk about both of that, being a champion for autism, but also being a fanatic for your kids.
Oh boy. So with autism, it's I grew up with special needs kids in our home. My parents as foster parents. Those are the kids that they brought in. Um, in our day back, I'm almost 50 years old. Back in our younger day, you know, they were referred to as retards, and kind of like they didn't really exist. Put them in a home, put them in a corner, hide them off to the side. Don't expose them to the public. Don't expose them to the real world. Hide them. Some parents embarrassed about it. I'm not embarrassed whatsoever. You know what? God gave our family Joey for a reason. He put him out there for us, and I believe it was a sign to spread the awareness, to open dialogue, and that's the biggest thing. And that's where Joey's the we call it the Pacific Northwest Autism Mustang. That's where that came to fruition. It was a good area. We worked with cars. We love car people. Why not build a car that represents, and that we can take out to shows and open the dialogue? Because that's the biggest thing. A lot of people with special needs, with special needs children, they feel like they don't have an outlet. They feel like they don't have anybody to talk to, that they're on their own. Well, at the end of the day, it takes a village. And if we can, by bringing the car out, open up dialogue, hear the stories, talk to people, hear their struggles, hear their successes, it spreads the awareness that, hey, you know my famous line, autism is not a disability, it's just a different ability. So and forgive me, I just kind of forgot where we were going with this conversation.
No. Well, let's tap in there. I love that last statement, that autism isn't a disability; it's a different ability. And I would agree with you that over the last three decades, especially the last 2 decades, there's been a real push in society to say, you know what, this is just different. You may not understand it, but until we have a dialogue about it, until I share my experiences with you, you're never going to understand. And for you to understand means that you need to have an open heart. And dude, I don't know how you can't have an open heart around Joey. I mean, he's always smiling, he's so happy, and he's always, you're fired, right? And people love him. But if you're not given an environment, or if you don't create an environment where you can share your family, your journey in a way that is productive, that opens hearts, opens minds, we're always going to have these walls that prevent growth.
100%. 100%. We have to talk about it. We have to again, it's just creating the dialogue and opening up where people feel that they have a place or a person that they can pick up the phone, that they can talk to when they're having a rough day. When it comes, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. If you've met 10 people with autism, you've met 10 people with autism, and all 10 of them are different. 100%, they're different. Nothing is the same. So, for instance, I have a really good friend that lives, her family lives up north, up Snohomish County area, King County, Snohomish County area. Her son is autistic, but her son is a violent autistic person, young man. Um, and when I say violent, he doesn't mean, he doesn't. It's not. It's not that he wants to be mean to people. It's not that he wanted to hurt his mom. It's not that he wanted to hurt. It's just, it's part of his autism. And we've talked a bit. And one day she called and she was crying and she said, I can't thank you enough. I feel like I've always felt like I have nobody to talk to. I felt like I had nobody that understands what we're going through with the struggles. She goes, but also at the same time, I can pick up my phone and call you and be like, hey, my son just did this. How amazing is that? She's like, and that's what I love about what you and your family do with spreading the autism awareness, with getting out in the community and talking to people.
Yeah. I love that perspective of, there's 10 people with autism and every one of them is going to be different experience. I think we tend to box people in these definitions without recognizing that there are nuances and there's backstories. And when we start to open our hearts and lead with love, all of a sudden we're able to have conversations that lift and elevate. Like your friend, she has someone that she can call and commiserate with, but she also has somebody that she can celebrate. And I think a lot of times from our perspective, from our experience, we're on the outside looking in and going, well, why don't they do that? Why don't they should do this? Well, you're not walking through their life. So step back from your judgment and recognize that you don't know the backstory and lead with love.
Yes.
And boy, when we start leading with love, all of a sudden, everybody has an opportunity to grow and to share their experiences in a way that will lift all people.
I'll tell you what, one of the greatest joys I have is for instance, there's a detailer in Florida, really good friend. You know him well. He's getting ready to get married. The gal that he's engaged to, her son is autistic, and he's reached out, told me stories about him. Going to SEMA, and someone, as you know, everything that we do has the autism, the puzzle pieces. Everything we do, I don't care what car it is, what it is, it has that on there. And to be standing next to a car, like I said, at SEMA, and people just coming up and they start telling you the stories. My son has autism, and here's some of the things that have happened. Or my daughter has autism, but guess what? She just got her license, and they're super excited. It's just to be able to talk to people. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about being a fanatic. I mean, I was blessed to have a very very competitive. All of my kids are very competitive, but one of them ended up playing D1 volleyball, Kaylani, and now your family's getting the fun of D1 softball. And it's just been fun to watch Joey. Dude, he loves softball. I'd say he's our biggest fan. But let's talk about that journey of being able to encourage your daughter in that passion, that drive, in that dream, and being a big fan of your kids.
Oh man. Well, so Allie started playing. She started playing fast pitch at 8 years old. Little league. She had a good time. At nine or no, it was 10 years old. She went out. Of course, they have to try out for the team, and the coaches were like, "Joe, your daughter is well beyond all these girls here. It's time to move her into a more competitive league or something if that's what she wants." So then we got into travel softball, which I'll tell you, that was one of the best experiences for the last 10 years, that being able to travel the United States, watching her play. It started out traveling the state, and then a couple states away, and the next thing you know, we're traveling all over the country. It's been a lot of fun, but it was one thing I didn't push her to play. It was her passion. She loved it. She had a great time. So um, spending all the money doing the travel, it was well worth it no matter what.
Yeah.
But now that she took off to college, she's played the last 2 years at Western Washington, Division II college. The last 2 years, last year they went to the national championship. They ended up getting beat out by University of Texas at Tyler in the actual natty games. This year they went right back to it. They got back down there. They ended up taking third in Division II softball. Of course, got sent home by University of Texas at Tyler. but there was some things for Allie that Western just wasn't a great fit. And as a family, we talk a lot about the struggles and things that happen in our life. That was one area that she kind of kept from me, and she didn't tell me the full story of things that were going on, bullying, things like that. So they ended up, again, they ended up losing out in the Women's College World Series this year, and she decided that she was going to go into the transfer portal. And so she gets off the plane. Sherry and I pick her up in Seattle. We're heading home, bringing her home for a few days and whatnot, before we took her back up to school to finish her last 3 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks. And she ended up going to the portal, and then we're sitting on the couch that night or that afternoon, a half hour after she went in the portal. And, I know Allie will probably be watching this, and she will probably be like, Dad, you gave too much information. But she started tearing up, and she was like, she felt like she wasn't sure if she was good enough, that she wasn't sure if any team was going to pick her up. And I'm just like, really? Talking about it. And by the end of the night, she had over 75 colleges that had reached out to her. The next morning, she got up to over 60 more colleges that reached out to her. That's awesome. We're talking colleges from D1, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO. I mean, they were reaching out. She was a wanted player. And then the funny story was, we're sitting here at this shop, and we were watching University UT Tyler playing in the national championship, final game of the national championship series, and they won. And it was like literally, I turned the TV off in the shop because we watched the game while we were working, and I'm sitting there working away. 15 minutes later, Allie calls, and she's like, "Holy crap! Mike Reed from UT Tyler just called me, or just texted me." And I thought, for me at first, I'm like, they just won the national championship. It's 15 minutes since that game was over. And I thought to myself, somebody's messing with her. But I didn't want to tell her that. So I said, message him back. Say, yeah, you'll get on a call. So she messaged him back. And she said, hey, I know you just got done playing. We can talk tomorrow if you want. And his text back within 30 seconds said, no, we're going to talk now. Call me. And so they got on a phone call, and they hit it off. I mean, he's like, Allie, I know everything about you. I can tell you every pitch that you throw. I can tell you what percentage of those pitches you throw. I can tell you your best pitch. I can tell you your worst pitch. And he just kept going on. So then she scheduled a visit, which she ended up going. She checked out three different schools. One university at Colorado Springs, which she really liked. Colorado, thought that might be a place. West Texas A&M, she went down, checked that out, and then they flew from her and Cody, because Cody went with her on her visits. They flew to UT Tyler, and she just fell in love with everything, which for as parents, Sherry and I were ecstatic. One, because I told you I really wanted her to go to UT Tyler, but I did not tell her that. I mean, I told her that, but I wanted her to make the decision based on what she wanted to do, not what she felt Sherry and I wanted her to do. So she ended up committing, and now she's taken off to Texas, which is huge because Allie's always been a homebody. She never wanted to leave, really didn't want to leave Washington. And now she's traveling halfway across the country to go play ball. So
that's awesome. That's good. Yeah, I just love that, right? Just creating opportunities for your kids and letting them drive the passion, letting them lean into what is just inspires them, motivates them. It's like, let them lean into their gifts, and you open the door to make that happen. And you get this just fun journey of being able to do it together as a family. Judy and I, we traveled with our daughter, and dude, I have so many memories of different tournaments and different experiences, and them coming back from being an 8 seed and winning a tournament, and and going to the NCAAs twice, and it's just so much fun. But it's like, it's not just those kids that are athletes, right? I have kids that are musicians. They're into fashion. And it's like, sometimes my daughter, that's a fashionista, I mean, she'll come in, Dad, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm just excited that you're excited. And she's getting all of these great opportunities, as an influencer and a collaborator. And it's because she's driven by investing in the clothes, in the photo shoots, and all of a sudden these doors are opening up for her. And it's just fun to really lean into your family and to your kids. So kind of as in wrap up, as you've built your business as a family, I mean, you guys really have built your business as a family. What have you learned along the way that you think would be helpful for other business owners? Notice I didn't say detailers, business owners.
Repeat that again one more time. Sorry.
So, what have you learned along the way as you've built your business with your family that you think would be helpful for other business owners as they try to build and grow their business and juggle this crazy thing called family and life?
Man, so I'll tell you, one of the biggest things I've learned along my journey with business, with what I do, is I want to say it was 2018, 2019. I think it was 2018, when Cody and I went to SEMA for the first time, really met people in the industry. That's when I guess you want to say our breakout year, where people started to realize who we were, what we did. I formed this strong passion where I really wanted to help everybody. I wanted to be a trainer. I wanted to be the person helping them grow their business. I wanted to be the one to help them master polishing a car, master cleaning, detailing the inside. I wanted to be that person. And along that route, I lost sight of what was really important. And what's important first is your family and your business and your brand. And I found myself along that line putting other people's businesses before mine. So my business struggled. Our business struggled here. There's nothing wrong with collaborating. There's nothing wrong with helping others, but we have to find that balance of our business, their business. And once I realized that, which it was, of all people, Kyle Clark, one of my great friends, we talk at least once a week, he gave me some really good advice along the path. He's like, Joe, your family, your business and brand, and then everything else. He's like, not that you shouldn't go help people, not that you shouldn't be that person, but you have to take care of you and your family and your business first. So once I realized that and really put it to work, I watched our business flourish, take off. I've watched our team grow. And I mean, we all say we have the best team out there. I thoroughly believe that we have the best team. We've created a family environment for our team. So it's just knowing. The biggest piece of advice is knowing what's important and what to work on first, and take those steps as in growing.
I love that. I absolutely love that. There's so much wisdom in that. Well, man, I just want to thank you for being such a great example of building a business as a family. You have been very open with your journey, your struggles, your passion, and you've been a champion for your children. You've been a champion for your business. And I've seen you struggle with, it's like, because I think I met you about 2018 or so, and I've watched you kind of grow through that. All right, I want to be a national figure, but at what cost, right? And when you really come down to it, you got to focus on yourself, focus on your family, and then the doors will open for you to really have an impact on those that are meant to be served by you, right? And when we really kind of do that, we'll know all of a sudden our net starts to expand. But I think a lot of times we try to expand our net, and then we're realizing, oh, whoa, I got to contract a bit, take care of this, and then And so I think a lot of times we get the order in reverse.
Yes, 100%.
So, well, cool, man. Well, I want to thank you. Thanks again for being my guest. Guys, if you don't know Joe, you got to get to know him and his family. Joe Kimball, his son Joey, man, you're fired. I mean, he just has a great smile. He's passionate about detailing. I'm Cody, your daughter. I mean, your wife, incredible examples of what a family can look like, even though there's struggles. And you haven't let the struggles define you. You've allowed the struggles to refine you. And I think that's an important lesson that all of us can learn from, because the same fire that consumes can refine. It just depends on how we embrace the journey.
Exactly.
So anyway, thank you so much for tapping in. You guys that are listening, thank you for tapping in every week. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we will catch you same time, same bat channel, but next week with Rod. See ya!